Let's see if that's exactly what they do. Picks and bans ready now for game number 2. I think the Hera selection worked out okay in the mid lane there for Sternhawk. The Medusa I didn't love really for Mystic Salmon, so maybe some changes there, but we'll have to wait and see as Benedicts Cavalry in the first pick slot this time.
And the thing was, I didn't mind the Medusa pick specifically coming out of Mystic Salmon. He had a good showing, had a good slash line at the end of the game, but the problem was that last team fight really was just too chaotic for him to handle. He missed his Petrify there onto xCovi that used through space and time coming back in, that Unstable Vortex just sealing the deal.
Yeah, nearly tried to get in between there, but couldn't quite avoid that Unstable Vortex. Bacchus, the other ban now for Benedicts Cavalry, again banned in game 1. But this time it's going to be the Giannis, actually banned away by Shrimp Gang. Even though, I mean, xCovi looked good on it, there's no doubt about it, but are they really worried that that's going to get picked up right away by Sternhawk?
That must be the case, honestly, because here with them first picking Giannis in game number 1, they must have done their homework thinking that potentially in that mid lane that Sternhawk would have been the one to lock that in.
Maybe that's a signature pick for him that we haven't gotten a chance to see on the big stage quite yet. Bologna picked very early on here. Same sort of lane matchup that you'd suppose, and you're right, I think that Nico did a pretty good job in lane when it came to that Achilles-Bologna matchup, so wanting to go back to that. And prioritization onto Kovi's picks. I mean, it was first pick Giannis in game 1, now top 2ing Discordia here in game 2.
And that's a good look if you're going to be aggressive in the dual lane or in the solo lane. Utilize that Discordia passive, trying to control Totem of Ku, or trying to control the side purple-red buffs in that side. But having some good, interesting teamfight control mechanics there with Wild Hunt and Kraken. I'm liking Cavalry's composition, but they need more defensive peel options, and now with secondary ban phase coming out, I wouldn't be surprised if Shrimp Gangs are the ones to either pick or ban away the Geb.
Could be a good look for them as Gibalanke, the pick now for Weezy in that dual lane. Just another pick that really controls the late game really well, and the laning phase in the early stages can be a little bit vulnerable, but with your aggressive supports, that usually is enough to get you out of that bad part.
With branching bolas, you're actually able to poke out the enemy pretty easily to build up the Gibalanke passive stack, and that could give you the Discordia passive stacks to do even extra damage. So I want to see an aggressive support coming out of mattkoiz to try and get that synergy going.
It won't be Bacchus, and it won't be Geb. Again, Geb banned by Benedict Cavalry themselves. mattkoiz played it in that last game in the dodgy ban, really attacking exactly what Shrimp Game went for in game 1 instead of trying to focus on a particular role.
That delayed quadra kill coming out of Jumpah around that fire giant was what allowed Shrimp Gang to really slow down the pacing from Benedict's Cavalry and put the game back into Shrimp Gang's hands.
I wonder if this is a flex pick now for Shrimp Gang with the Erlong Shen. I feel like this could be slotted into the support role for mattkoiz if you want to play aggressively there. Maybe we want to put it in jungle for Jumpah. I feel like this door is a little bit wide open as Guan Yu picked up by Benedict's Cavalry. This is a pick that we're seeing more and more of, but feels really strong just about every time we get a chance to see it in the Alquang in the jungle. I like it too.
It's very easy to kind of get lost in some team fights, and Alquang can easily just kind of take advantage of that. I'm expecting aggression between the Bologna and the Erlong Shen, and now even an Arachne, so this Alquang needs to have a field day with those frontliners.
And there's not a lot of peel here for Benedict's Cavalry. And no true Guardian, so not a lot of peel for him. I actually really like the Arachne pick here. I think it could cause a lot of problems. Do you think Shrimp Gang's winning this 2-0?
I mean, they're feeling confident. After that first game victory, I'm going to say yes, just off of that.
Yeah, riding that wave of winning a long game 1. We'll see if they can close out game 2 a little bit more quickly. It's Finch and Taco on the cast.
Riding the wave, or riding the web this time, as Arachne selected for Jumpah. We went right to him. Look at that, me and Doug on the same web length this time. Shrimp Gang 1-0. I've literally been booed by production just now in my ear. I don't know why. That's quality stuff I'm starting this off with here in game number 2. Shrimp Gang have a chance to close this out.
And it looks like they're trying to close it out early on, if anything. Jumpah and mattkoiz running this deadly Arachne Erlang combo. They have to be all over Benedict's jungle, I think, if they really want to see this one work out.
Yeah, this early game is going to be a tangled web for or for really Benedict's Cavalry to try and navigate right now. A sticky situation they might find themselves in if they end up getting locked down by this Arachne.
That's 3 in a row.
They're going to keep happening.
Oh. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What about Mystic Salmon?
I think I said something about
Can we keep the ball
it's
rolling
harder
here?
to swim upstream or something like that. I think.
Well, that was in the first game, though.
Right, I gotta do another one.
New start, fresh start.
Yeah, you know, maybe he'll play a different COD in this game. You know, have one up his sleeve. We'll certainly see as the blue buff is aggressed on by Shrimp Gang, actually. Now ShaolinSSinS is certainly dead for First Blood, and that is one of the gods you least want to give a First Blood to, is an Arachne in your solo lane for some reason of 1 minute into the game when I'm trying to make web puns.
TheWeeznd could be in a little bit of trouble here, though. He's got the red buff surrounding him, but the Kerninos wrap around from the backside is gonna do it. Houseplant credited with the kill, but the return fire has been activated at the very least. That's a response that I think Benedicts needed to make happen because they just lost their solo laner. You may as well draw the attention back over to the opposite side of the map.
They absolutely had to find something, as Jumpah is now going to join the rest of the game on a normal jungle path. But look at this. He is a good bit experience-wise ahead of Perez, who's at the very bottom with 154. Meanwhile, Jumpah's fourth up there with 360 or even more. Yeah, about 360 per minute. So far, this path has worked out in favor of Jumpah. Somehow, Perez got to find a way to break these webs off him and keep on moving.
I understand why Shaolin thought he could contest the blue buff. It was his side of the map, so you know, you might feel a little bit more confident, but maybe just forgetting a little bit there that Arachne spiders, when it comes to early game kill potential, it does not get more potent than Arachne. Yeah,
there's nothing itsy or bitsy about this spider, Taco. Right now, Jumpah is looking plenty scary from where I'm sitting. He's got looks like the ninja tabi that he's rushed. Not even the assassin's blessing. He just wanted the boots as quickly as possible so he can start zooming around the map. He's not going to get it at all, actually.
This is a risk versus reward strategy. Is assassin's blessing nice to have? Of course.
Yes.
But if you're able to get not only the first blood, but every single buff that you could possibly desire, mattkoiz right now looking to lock down Houseplant, and the follow-up will be there. Beautiful pin execution. Koiz deserved that last hit.
Yeah, put a pin in him, Taco. He's done as they move over to try and grab the blue buff yet again. But this time, though, they're able to bring Perez over to try and help defend. And now ShaolinSSinS might be a little bit of trouble. Looks like they didn't even successfully defend it. Nikwid is the one who happily holds it around his waist.
I think the worst part about all of this for Perez is that on the AO, as good as his intentions are to try and help his solo laner defend the buff, it would only work as a disservice to his solo laner instead, because the bludgeon damage is just going to be boosted from Nikwid.
Right, he's got one more person to swing it around on, yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of impact that we saw. That bludgeon impact is what scared off Perez to begin with. He's just like, sorry, Omi, that is not your blue buff for I don't even know how long. He'll get a blue buff again on Guan Yu when Nikwid decides.
And remember, he's already had to use a teleport, and he's low on mana without a buff, so he'll have to walk back in the old-fashioned way, and Nikwid already has the Berserkers finished. There are a few power spikes in the solo lane because you're often so even in terms of when you back and what you build, but this is significant for Nikwid to continue this bullying, especially if Jumpah wants to keep showing some attention on that side of the map, but it's Perez that he really wants. He's stuck inside the spider's web, stunned as well. Kraken is just barely enough. He actually goes into the tower and is able to get the kill. What? That was a crazy exchange that just happened.
Stern's title surge actually pushed Jumpah out of the tower line even faster after Jumpah just barely manages to get
and they were minions, so he never got aggro either from the tower. That was crazy, right?
It's some good stuff. Jumpah definitely counting his lucky stars on that one, that he didn't have to take a tower shot in the process. And Sternhawk tried his best with the Kraken. The placement was there. But Jumpah, he rushed boots for a reason. And Perez now, I think, starting to understand a little bit more so why AO can be difficult to execute at the competitive level of play.
Yeah, I think they're recognizing now that they're not as familiar with this Arachne in the early game, and Jumpah is showing some of what's made him an MVP before. He's got the Golden Blade finished. If you thought he was clearing fast before, my man's gonna be zooming.
Here's the thing, though, is that Jumpah now is at a crossroads where, in a way, he doesn't really have any other option outside of being overly aggressive on this Arachne, because if he's not able to continue suppressing everybody, Shaolin on the run for his life now.
My man's just keeping up. He didn't care at all. Hi, I'm still here, by the way. Eagles rally over the top, and ShaolinSSinS has to stop to avoid getting stunned, and somehow will make his way out of there. But the bug, 8 legs are better than 4, I guess, was keeping up with the horse no problem.
Spiders faster than horses, confirmed.
Yeah, we just confirmed that here, for you guys, in case you were wondering.
But that's just part of it, though, right? I mean, I was just talking about how aggressive Jumpah needs to be,
You think you can
and
do
now
this camp?
he's right here at Perez's back camps, and there's nothing left for Perez to farm. He is getting the scraps of the scraps from whatever his lanes are leaving him, because his lanes can only afford to split so much XP with his AO because he's meant to be relying on his jungle. He just has no jungle. Jumpah has been taking all of it with Nikwid.
I'm surprised he's not even further behind than this, and it is significant already to be about a level and a half behind, only 6.5 minutes into the game. As you said, Jumpah's been relentless with the pressure he's putting onto the jungle so far, and he's not leaving any space for Perez to try and breathe as the pin lands. Finally, the dash comes out from Mystic Salmon, and he is safely away.
And eventually we will start to see some more of this trickle-down effect. It's already started taking place in the solo lane. Nikwid has made a clear experience gap between himself and Shaolin evident, and he continues to just try and bash into him, using that Berserker shield to his advantage, allowing him to box a little bit longer, even eating up the entirety of a Tao Assault. And normally you would see that ability have health somebody if they just sit there trying to absorb every single one of its blows, but there's just nowhere left for Shaolin to look.
Jumpah just dropped his second auxiliary blue buff, and then went to his auxiliary back camps, and is now getting his auxiliary farm in the form of Daniel Perez and sending him back to base. That's his jungle, by the way. I don't know why Perez thought he could go into Jumpah's jungle and grab that farm, but it's no longer his. It belongs to Arachne, who can freely go wherever she wants.
It's just, it hurts to watch.
It's a
I'm not
nightmare.
even playing this game, and I can feel the frustration from Perez. But this is one of those sets, and one of those games especially, where you can start to see how synergized a team truly is. Because right now, there's only so much that Benedicts Cavalry can really do to stem the bleeding here from Perez losing so much of his jungle to Jumpah and Nikwid. And what they don't want to see happening is Sternhawk falling to a knock-up, turtle knock-up from mattkoiz in the mid lane. I thought for a second there that Stern was going to be toast. And I completely, you know, shifted my attention from what we were just talking about.
Well, I think we were just talking about how well this team can play together as a unit, and I think that's what we're seeing happening right now as they go from looking for a pick in mid lane to claiming the oracles for themselves.
It's just the fact that I can't even elaborate on a point because of Shrimp Gang constantly forcing pressure is something that I think says a lot with actions alone. And mattkoiz is still not done either. Just got the beads out of Sternhawk, already looking to see where he can be aggressive next. Jumpah still has his blink available also, and I think this Kernidos is about to get fully dove.
Yeah, there's a good chance for it. They've got the Erlang Shen, the Arachne, and the Xbalanque all nearby, but looks like they don't do it yet. In fact, they want Xcovi, but erratic behavior. It looks like that was more than enough to get him out. He had to use beads to remove the cripple. I for sure thought he was in that whirlpool. Might be some trouble for Daniel Perez, but Jumpah doesn't want him. Jumpah wants the farm instead. He'll pass up on the Ao Kuang and be a part of this blue buff instead.
Nikwid isn't even in lane. He's just waiting at the blue buff now. It's not even disrespect. It's just the fact that who's to stop him?
There's no one on the map right now that could slow down Nikwid. He pushed straight through the tier 1 tower while clearing the wave and just walked on back to that blue buff because he can, at this point, he's unafraid of ShaolinSSinS and he's unafraid of the tier 1 tower. And really all ShaolinSSinS could do is exactly what he's doing. Try and get what farm he can, back and get back to lane at the right timing, use his teleports to get back into lane and try and stay even. Because right now this is Nikwid's farm, it's Nikwid's blue buff. Him and Jumpah have been bullies on the right side of the map.
And it seems like Jumpah only intends to continue cyberbullying Daniel Perez because he is building into what will very likely be an Ankile. And that momentary silence is just so devastating when you're in AO trying to full kit somebody, especially when you're in that 1v1 with the enemy jungler. I definitely see a lot of the early to mid game exchanges going the way of Shrimp Gang off of Jumpah and Nikwid alone. And so when you try to bring in the thought process of, well, maybe Perez can work his way into the back line, if he so much as touches Jumpah, that silence is going to reveal him. And
Right.
Or if anything, just cut him off from what he was trying to initially do. And then Shrimp Gang can just collapse.
Good poke from Mystic.Salmon onto TheWeeznd. I do also want to point out, ShaolinSSinS had the ultimate forced out on the right-hand side of the map. He went up aggressively trying to proxy, but unfortunately Jumpah and Nikwid were both there, so he had to hop onto the horse and get a dodge. He does have those defense boots finished as well, so that should help him out a little bit more as he's kind of buckled down and just accepted that he's not here to do a whole lot of damage. Sternhawk and Houseplant both coming back the safe way. They're afraid to move around this jungle right now.
Oh, Mystic.Salmon, though.
I like the idea.
Almost avoided the pin damage, but that might have actually worked against him with that little bit of a backstep. Slow from the poison darts will be applied. mattkoiz doesn't seem like he wants to let this one go, and he might not have to because Jumpah's going to die from the backside anyway. And with the Arachne on the Golden Blade, doesn't matter if those autos are direct or not. Mystic.Salmon was practically toast there.
Maybe with the Bramble Blast, he could force that overcommit under the Tier 1 tower, but even that was slightly off the mark, and unfortunately, Jumpah able to find another kill, at least unfortunately if you're a fan of Benedicts Cavalry and Mystic.Salmon. I like the idea, though, if there's pressure on the duo side, at least get the Pyromancer, but that means now they know for sure this Gold Fury is all theirs. No one nearby to stop them. The first Gold Fury of the game going down for Shrimp Gang as they move up almost 4,000 gold out in front. And yeah, come grab this red buff, too. Make sure that there's no farm on the map for Benedicts Cavalry.
As soon as Mystic.Salmon died, that was an all but guaranteed Gold Fury in my mind. mattkoiz, though, could be in a little bit of trouble. Nice dodge from Daniel Perez. Going to look for Kobe with the beads. Will buy him enough time to get out of there.
He does eventually, though, get hit by Houseplant, who does have the other execute on this squad, by the way, because they got 2 of them. Haven't been able to find very many so far, but he eventually shuts him down. And that will mean that Kobe's going to take a little bit of a breather from his efficient farming. And finally, a small moment for Benedict's Cavalry to breathe.
Daniel Perez getting to farm a little bit for the first time what feels like forever. But in the end there, I still think that Shrimp Gang ultimately got what was more favorable by securing the Gold Fury. They also got the red buff after the fact. Sure, they lose Kobe in the process, but Kobe slightly overextended. Your team is ahead. That doesn't mean that you can do whatever the hell you want, though, as a Discordia.
Looks like he's in a little bit of trouble. Is able to just barely get away from Salmon, but can he get away enough as mattkoiz is lurking as well, but he runs straight for safety, so he's never in any trouble. But Taco, what about the mental state, I feel like, for Benedict's Cavalry? Because remember, last game was like a 48-minute, just a dragged-out game where they were in control for most of it and couldn't quite close it out. Now you come into game 2, and you've got an Arachne of all things bullying you, taking your jungle, not even letting you farm through the early game. It must be so difficult, I feel like, to try and to keep your mental state in the right spot.
No, those are definitely difficult circumstances to come back from, and I do think that Benedict's Cavalry are exhibiting a little bit of mental fatigue here, because I feel like the right response to all of that early game pressure that Nikwid and Jumpah were applying to Daniel Perez should have been focused a little bit more so towards that early blue buff invades. I think that within the first 10 minutes of a game, you can afford to throw 3 to 4 members onto a blue buff defense and still be successful without losing too much in the process elsewhere.
Kraken comes down on top of Sternhawk. That does create some space for him because of the knock-up, and he's able to make it back towards the Tier 2 tower, but only just barely. It does also cost him his beads and the ultimate, so he'll be that much weaker. I don't know if Mystic.Salmon realizes, though, how much trouble he might just be in. Horn Charge gets him back to the tower, but Blink available for Jumpah, and he comes over the wall. Beads gets him away from the initial slow and stun, but he's locked down, pressed up against the tower, and that's a kill for Weezy.
Mystic.Salmon, he's just screaming help into the abyss. There's no one around on his team that could possibly try and help him. It's just... It feels hopeless, for sure, when you're a hunter in that type of position and you just have the jungler who's so ridiculously far ahead of you and you just know that you're all but guaranteed to die there. In that moment, what Benedict's Cavalry has to do is exactly what they are trying to do, and that's take the farm of Shrimp Gang from the opposite side of the map. You already know that your hunter is toast, and so is that T1 tower. You may as well look for the plays where you can, but Nikwid trying to prevent as much as possible here. Gonna Eagles rally straight on top of Daniel Perez.
Yeah, this might not be the play, though. Looking for the 2v2 when they're down a collective 4 levels is not going to be easy, and it's not even the 2-for-2, as now Kobe's joined the fray. He's dropped the apple, and it will not keep the doctor away. Looks like mattkoiz will try to come join the fight as well. A Strife is here. ShaolinSSinS is going to take a spill, and Almost, with the Kraken, are they able to turn things around, but it's just not enough. In fact, there's nowhere for this Poseidon to go either. He's stuck inside the blue buff pit, and another kill. And really, when it rains, it pours for Benedict's Cavalry.
It just hurts, Finch. I really don't know what more to say. I mean,
it's rough,
this has been so controlling, but this is the Shrimp Gang that we were expecting to see, I think, from Game 1. I think Game 1, Shrimp Gang came into that a little bit overconfident, and Benedict's Cavalry punished them for it. They smacked them around a little bit until Shrimp Gang realized, hey, we're supposed to be the team with all this veteran experience, and yet we are getting absolutely pounded here, so let's try to remember objective play is what we're really all about, and Shrimp Gang have just gone back to the competitive basics here in my mind. That's
an Aegis forced out, and I want that extra auto attack range if you got it. You got to stop eventually because of the stun, and that's going to set up the kill. But can Perez find a way to punish here? Aegis lets him immune some of the damage. He's going to dance inside the minions and look for autos. No way, Perez. See you later. Even with mana, I'm not worried.
TheWeeznd doesn't need mana with this amount of power output. Level 16 Xbalanque, Houseplant on the rise, but so is Jumpah right around the corner.
That might be a little bit too much water in this situation. Perez, he can't make it up into the execute. Jumpah gets the kill. He will eventually fall to the decoy from the clone that created the explosion.
If he had moved, he would have lived. He stayed on top of the water illusion and it killed him afterwards from the grave here. So Daniel Perez will still get credit for the kill. Crazy. A huge kill as well for that AO being as far behind as he was. Shaolin will pay for his sins in the end, because this Guan Yu still on the run here. All three members of Shrimp Gang still looking to further collapse him, but Nickwood says there is no escape even in your T2 tower.
Yeah, ShaolinSSinS needs a Shaolin showdown. Maybe a Shingon Wu will help him out here in this situation, as he's in some serious trouble. Jumpah has to fall back as well. Kobe finds Houseplant, and they want the tier 2 tower as well. They've earned this one with a hefty fight in the middle lane. They do grab it, 1,500 extra gold as well. Not really much Benedict's Cavalry can do except fall back. Those starts are scary. 12K experience, 10,000 gold. That ain't good.
At just around 18 minutes, yeah, that's pretty good. If you're Shrimp Gang, and it's only gonna get worse if you're Benedict's Cavalry or a fan of the team even. But
were you a Shaolin Showdown person, Taco?
I watch Shaolin Soccer, and I keep wanting to call ShaolinSSinS Shaolin Soccer.
I see.
But I can't.
Yeah, you got to keep that separate in your mind. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Separate in my brain, but not in my heart.
I can't believe you weren't watching Shaolin Show. It was a great show. It was on WB, Channel 10. Wake up in the morning on Saturdays.
I didn't watch normal TV growing up as a kid. My mom liked that Telemundo a little bit too much. And Daniel Perez, happy to see a friendly face from his team. Normally, I've come to expect it to just be another member of Shrimp Gang. Just
if anyone comes in from like stage left, as it looks like ShaolinSSinS might actually have disconnected here in this game too at this point. So you can see him just kind of standing in the fountain. A game that was already rough might have just gotten even rougher, Taco, as Shrimp Gang take that opportunity to go right towards the Fire Giant, and why not at this point? In fact, it looks like they don't even have a way to slow things down and get him back in the game.
He's there in spirit.
Maybe.
I think even if Shaolin hadn't been unfortunate enough to disconnect, the lead that Shrimp Gang has established would have still undoubtedly led to them getting that Fire Giant.
He was here for most of this L, yeah, is how I would describe it.
He experienced 90% of the L.
Yeah. You know, if you make it and you kind of like got that swoop, you're starting the little leg down there, and then that's when you dropped off. He's there for most of it.
I've already like started to finish writing the L officially, but we can't record it until, you know, the victory screen actually happens. Because keep in mind, things looked great for Benedict's Cavalry last game too,
and they couldn't close it out.
And they lost in the end. So Shrimp Gang might not be able to fully benefit in this 4v5 situation just yet.
See if they can close it out. Going in aggressively is Houseplant, but I don't know if that's the right call. Mid Phoenix goes down. Houseplant just barely still clinging to life, but Kobe rectifies that shortly. Is on a killing spree at this point into the game. Eagles rally comes through as well, and now it's time to just start barreling in for that Titan. Only 3 members here to defend. Again, ShaolinSSinS is watching on sadly from the fountain as he can't help out his team at this point. This one's looking like it's going to be all Shrimp Gang. Even Mystic Salmon had nowhere to go, evaporated.
That's some rough stuff here. Daniel Perez forced to just be an onlooker at this point, and that was kind of how he spent the majority of this game, watching Shrimp Gang just take everything right in front of him. And as an AO, I don't think that it's his sole responsibility to defend his jungle. I think that Benedicts Cavalry definitely,
right?
they overestimated the damage output that the AO would have early game, I think, and they definitely did not expect to see that level of damage or early game pressure out of Nikwid and Jumpah. But those are really important learning facts that they can take from this set into the next one. I think that AO was just a little bit too limited in the early game, and Benedicts Cavalry, they seem like a team that understands team fights. I just want to see them work with compositions that aren't so heavily reliant on making it to the late game.
Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit caught off guard by that Arachne as well, and not expecting it to be quite that dominant. Either way, an impressive win here. Let's get back over to the desk. Tell us a little bit about what y'all saw in that second game.
We saw the right side of the map for Shrimp Gang dominate. It was Nikwid and Jumpah from the jump, basically. Those two just got so far ahead. That early Arachne, no Assassin's Blessing, though.
Yeah.
Why do you think it worked that
I honestly don't know at the end of the day. I think he just knew he was going to get out to an early start. Something must have aligned in the stars for him because it worked out beautifully. Shaolin played right into their trap at the beginning of the game. Jumpah with the Arachne just didn't let go of the pressure after that early kill.
I just feel like even if you get the early kill, you finish boots, or you buy Assassin's Blessing right then. I understand wanting the 10 power and the movement speed at level 1, but I feel like Assassin's Blessing is such an important thing to up your clear speed throughout the game. I guess he did go Golden Blade to try and up his clear speed without having to use mana, because that's a big thing for Assassin's Blessing, right, is that you're getting health back and you're getting your mana back, and if you're using Golden Blade, then you probably don't need a whole lot of
It could be also that he's focused less on the jungle and more about the ganks in the mid lane. Up against a Poseidon player, you're looking to gank that lane, Golden Blade is going to help you more in that case than an Assassin's Blessing would have.
I think it's a good showing of how every god has the right moments where you can really pick a god, and even if they're perceived as a little bit weak, and really show what they can do against the composition of Alquang and Poseidon and these gods that can't really get away from you. Achilles and Ekernos can have real trouble getting away from Arachne. Jumpah just plays it really, really well. He picks the right targets, and it's the 10th pick Arachne that ends up being the difference maker. mattkoiz also on the Erlong support was forcing beads, was putting pressure in the duo lane early on, and that's exactly what you're looking for out of that warrior support.
Yeah, going 6-0-6 was Jumpah, and aggressive support also on the other side, going Achilles support, but ShaolinSSIN just a little bit step above it, having some great rotations was mattkoiz, finding the necessary pings, making it happen.
And Nikwid as well, when given a lead in that solo lane, played the Bellona exactly how you expect. To the borderline of disrespectful of the opposition. That's how you have to do it,
yeah,
right?
That's how you have to do it.
That's how you have to do it if you're in the solo lane. Well, we've got to go to a break as we prepare for the last set, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with our final SCL set of the day.